right, we got 33 people and counting in the session already, Kevin.
Good.
Oh, 48.
So Wayne, I think we're live. Are we live?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're in the audience, well, now we got 68. It's climbing fast. This is a collaborative session. We talked a little bit about collaboration earlier. So Kevin and I are going to start out by talking about key takeaways that we heard, but we want to hear what your key takeaways are, and we'll just add them to this list here. We're just going to create multiple slides until we run out of time. Kevin, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds great. And I should say that some of the stuff I have aims to synthesize the pretty rich commentary we had from folks during the keynote and the panel discussion. A lot of folks chiming in with their perspectives. So we've tried to boil that down here, but as Wayne said, we'd love to have others contribute. Anyone contribute if you feel we're not representing what you've got.
All right, so I want to give the first key takeaway.
All right, you go first.
All right. So you know, everybody, that research analysts like from Gartner, Forrester, and Eckerson Group, we get paid to create industry buzzwords and to mark of an analyst to say, the industry adopted my buzzword. So I don't know. Seems like we got a lot of resonance around the term data mush. Don't let your data mesh become a data mush. So I want to put that down as potentially a new buzzword here. I'm having trouble. Let's see here. I think I have to go.
Wayne, it might have been the rich visual you had for that slide.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on here. I got to get back. 1 second.
And we've got a good comment from Matt, CTO at Cogenity. Thank you, Matt. That I'm making small language models a thing. We're working on that, definitely.
Okay. All right. So you guys can see, yes, you can see my screen here. So, all right. Yeah. Data mush as a new industry watchword. Or am I
new industry risk?
Okay. Risk and watchword. All right. So maybe I'm patting myself on the back, but you know, we analysts don't get a lot of attention sometimes. We're attention seekers, so we need to create new buzzwords. So that's one thing that I heard from people. They like that term. What about you, Kevin?
So I had a couple thoughts. I think that the data product seems to be the primary way I'm looking at this. Data product is the primary catalyst for change.
Yeah.
And also for adoption of best practices when it comes to mesh and fabric implementations.
Yeah, you know, Matt said something about data product is the is the way you implement best practices, and I thought that was pretty good. I mean, it kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning about what's the difference between a data asset and a data product. I mean, don't we want all of our data assets to be developed and delivered with best practices? Well, yes, we do, right? So maybe I was splitting hairs by saying, all right, everything we do should have governance, and it should have high quality, and it should have service level agreements. And I'm just thinking, okay, maybe there's something a little different about a data product. And maybe I'm still hung up on that, but yeah, I like that as adoption for best practices. Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Wayne, your turn. I got more, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, I haven't queued all mine up here. Oh, you know, I was talking to Paul Rankin in our topic table, and I had to ask him about if he agreed with me on the data store. And he goes, "Well, yeah, we have data stores, but we don't have just one. We have dozens of them. So each domain, I mean, they really have decentralized things. So each domain has its own place to publish data products. and they're building an Uber store that sits on top of all those other data stores or data catalogs. I'm not sure exactly how they're implementing it. So that people can search across all the domain stores to find products that they can use to build their products. Because every domain at Roche is building products, not just from, well, actually, each domain manages a source system. He also said that, which was interesting. But each domain builds products from other products that domains are making available. So I think what I'll say here is there's not just one data store, potentially many stores with an Uber store on top. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, maybe we call it a data shopping mall.
Oh,
You got me on the buzzword track.
well, that's interesting because way back when the industry was first enamored with portals, and there was not a name for it. I tried to create a name for what became known as portals, and I called it information malls. And
there you go.
And you can see what won out, not that. But maybe it's time to resurrect the information mall. What did you call it? A data shopping mall? Data shopping mall?
Data shopping mall.
I can go for that. All right. I'm going to put our names here too, so we know who said these. You got one from the audience? What's your next one?
I have one that's kind of I think it's a consensus in my view, and I forget who originally said it, but data fabric and data mesh are symbiotic. And Wayne, this might have come from you. They're both, yeah, this was you. You said they're both different ways to manage distributed data. The fabric is technical and the mesh is organizational or sociological, depending on how you look at it. I think I saw within our panelists' heads nodding about that. A lot of the challenge centers on the sociological aspect of this, the organizational processes and so forth, which I think is why blood pressure tends to rise with data mesh discussions in particular. So perhaps but here, go ahead, Wayne.
No, type in. I'm just going to elaborate that.
Okay.
I am a skeptic of data mesh because it sounds like, we're endorsing data silos, but there are good things that the data mesh has brought. And as I said, I think it and Fabric are making helping us understand what it really takes to deliver self-service, right? And having the right organizational model that I think has to be federated is really important. So I think it's a key contribution of the data mesh.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Okay, so yeah, I can agree with that.
And it kind of gets to organizational aspect of the mesh. I liked what Paul Rankin said, that 10% of the challenge is technical, 90% sociological.
Well, let's write that one
I believe
down.
those are his numbers.
Yeah, Rankin says 90% of the challenge with data mesh is sociological. That's the right term. I would say it's more like organizational and cultural. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would say that. So also what I was trying to say was that, the data mesh and Fabric have helped people realize what it takes to deliver self-service. And it's not just a tool. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think it's important. Yeah. You want to add to that?
No, I think you've articulated it well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think this was good.
All right.
So a related point is that data products need to offer. This is a point that Casey made. Data products need to give views of lineage, usage patterns, and their relationships with other products. It made me think of a sophisticated shopper on Amazon or other consumer scenarios where you're buying something that's, in this case, kind of premium. You need to read some user reviews. You need to dig into understanding how the product was made, how it's different from or related to other types of products. So it gets down back to your original analogy, Wayne, of data product really being a product, and you need to apply similar standards to it. So that notion of lineage, usage, and relationships to other products is important.
Yeah, and that I think that rings up what I was saying about layers of metadata, because some of that metadata
Yeah,
comes when you create the asset, some comes when you publish it to a catalog, and all that gets carried into the into a data store or marketplace, if you have one, along with some other things.
yeah.
Now we got some comments here from Matthew of Kuchinity. Data products demand data management. Excuse me, data products demand product management, a discipline many people aren't trained in. Yeah, that is true. In fact, Paul Rankin was saying, he didn't say this in his Q&A, but he told me in another point that getting people, or maybe he did say this, getting people to have a product mindset is one of the biggest challenges. Did he say that in this event? Or am I mixing that up with something else?
There was definitely discussion of a product mindset. I don't remember whether it was Paul or others, but agree completely that this requires a rethinking of how to really productize your data.
Yeah.
And Wayne, I liked in your initial slides, you talked about how it has all the characteristics, the data store of people who buy and sell products from others that they don't know. And
You like
so
that?
I did like that because it
That's
raises the
kind of
bar.
controversial, though. I know. I'm not sure everyone is going to buy into that.
Yeah, but it raises the bar about the level, the quality of what you put into the marketplace.
Yeah. I'm curious, those of you who are listening, for my own personal benefit, do you think that that statement makes sense? Um, all right, so we need to go to another slide here, Kevin. Let's see. How do I get to the next slide? There we go. So what were we just? Oh, do people? All right, let's see here. No one's commented yet. um,
So I have another one we can add here. Or are you typing something, Wayne?
no, your turn.
Okay. I think that this was another comment actually from Casey. You asked the unavoidable question about generative AI and where all this intersects with language models, especially what I'm calling the emergence of small language models that are much more domain specific, trained or prompted or fine-tuned based on enterprise data. And so I liked what Casey said, that Data Fabric has the potential to provide these generative AI, these small language models, the full data access, the data quality, and the explainability that they need.
Yeah, because otherwise your Gen AI is just pulling from a much smaller single domain, right? Smaller data set, single domain.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I'm going to add one here too. Whoops, sorry, Kevin. I just have to wait till you're done. Let me create another one. I'll start typing at the same time.
All right, we're testing the bounds of what Google
Because you have
decides
to
we can do.
be able to type and talk at the same time.
There you go.
Do this, right? Oh, that's a big one.
I think we're typing over each other.
Not quite. Keep going. You know what I heard? That the last question I asked to the panel, it was surprising to see people come up with the same answer, which is that the days of centralized IT are done. Well, I kind of think we all know that already, right? I mean, IT's job is really to facilitate. Ideally, I mean, there's still a lot of domains out there, if you want to call them that, or departments that really just have no interest in building anything for themselves or building products. They want it all handed to them, right?
Right.
So I would just say days of centralization, IT centralization, are over. IT must facilitate, not dictate. So,
yeah, and so Paul Rankin's comments were quite interesting. He said that due to M&A, due to the preference of R&D departments that know the data better than central IT, they were already 80% decentralized anyway.
oh
So
yeah,
his term was, why bother trying to centralize? And I believe that a reason that the data mesh has really struck a chord with so many folks is it's perhaps a sense of relief for enterprises that have been fighting decentralization trends for years. And finally, the data mesh says, let's accept that trend and let's try to make the best of it.
Yeah. Okay, I just wrote that in there. Yeah. Yeah, it is true. If you can't beat them, join them. And in Roach's case, it actually works because it's a good cultural fit, right? I think the most impressive thing about the Rankin case study or the Roach case study is that they got way out in front of the data mesh. Before they introduced this, I think they built that self-service data platform. I mean, that doesn't usually happen. How long does it take to build out a data warehouse platform before people start to use it? It never gets built out, right? So somehow we got way out in front and built that platform before, or at least, coterminously with the introduction of the data mesh. And, that's one reason I've always, I like the data fabric so much, is that you can implement a data fabric in a couple of weeks and instantaneously it will inject agility into your standard centralized data management environment. So I'm going to add these things here. Data fabric. Inject agility to I also put that which was impressive, getting out in front of its data mesh with a centralized data platform first.
Yeah, Paul talked about 28 teams and over 300 data products operationalized. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's impressive. I did ask him. He came to our topic table, the Eckerson Group topic table.
Oh, great.
And he said his domains are more like groups, and typically each group is managing a source system already, like Salesforce, right? And so they've already got developers who are familiar with that data, and it's their responsibility to create products from that data for themselves and for other people, and to share it in their data store that other people have access to. So and I know they've hired out, offshore people to kind of flesh out these domain teams and start building data products. And that's one reason they're building so many is that they're doing it overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wayne, I got another one here, and it's actually related to generative AI. I thought Rick had a great comment. I think he was following up on Casey's observation about the data fabric. I wrote this down because I thought it was perfect. Without data products, generative AI is just going to be trouble.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that you have to apply high standards, governance standards, among other things, to data in order to make sure that you're feeding and training and prompting and fine tuning those language models with data you can trust.
Yeah, I think, when it comes down to it, the data product, the whole movement is about creating trustworthy data products, or data set, anything, data assets, right? I mean, because in so many companies, people don't trust the data assets that are given to them, right? And that's been a huge problem forever and ever. And I think people are seeing data products as a way finally to get around that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna put another thing here. I didn't say this, or no one said this, but I think it kind of feeds off of what you just said. The biggest issue that most people are struggling with, and the reason we find, we implement new products and adopt new architectures is one, to address data quality issues and data bottlenecks, right? And
Yep.
those pain points are perennial. And anything that we do that can address those and minimize those and mitigate those is a good thing. Whatever tool, whatever architecture, whatever organizational approach. And I think, data fabric, data mesh, they're all essentially trying to address these things, right? Data product with improved data quality, a data mesh eliminates data bottlenecks by kind of putting the development at the domain. So, all tools, architectures.
We've got some great comments here. Casey points out that maybe the shopping mall is not quite as futuristic as we're looking for. He says, for those of us in California, all of our malls have closed. It's true. Maybe we should think of things.
So that buzzword's not gonna last.
Maybe the Amazon rather than shopping mall.
Well, I heard they're turning shopping malls today, or at least part of them, into pickleball courts. because people don't want to listen to pickleball, in their neighborhood, because it make a racket. And
there
people
you go.
play indoors all year round. So
so Dan Siokin, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, at Infosys, I believe, is suggesting maybe data quagmire. I like quagmire. Quicksand.
Yeah. Well, I've got another key takeaway. I think this is cool. I think the future of data products is virtual data products. And we had an interesting discussion on that.
Yes.
I was saying just gives a lot more flexibility to the consumer, who can kind of dissect the data product and get just what they want from it, instead of having to take the whole thing or combine data products on the fly. You can't do that with fixed products like files and things, not as easily. And then Matt mentioned that, the virtual product enables you to move the data on the back end without affecting what users actually see. So it's kind of that shielding users from complexity of the back end and changes in the back end.
Yeah.
On a roll here. I got 4 in a row here.
I know. I got a bunch. I'm gonna rely on. I've got a couple others, but I thought Dr. Sutrapathy at IBM here had a great point here. Aligning to optimize the fabric and mesh, one must align with the business strategy. And to another success factor is embedded change management and what the clarity is on the added value of data fabric and data mesh. So Wayne, you talked at the outset about ensuring you have executive endorsement. And so I think that there are kind of two things. One is making sure that you're aligning with business objectives and business strategy. Another is that when you get into implementation, you want to have change management processes that will be feasible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think another point that came from the commentary and I brought up in the panel was alignment with the data lake. And there definitely are synergies with data lake elements and the data fabric, data mesh, and products, because while the focus of fabric and mesh is distributed data, the reality is a lot of organizations have consolidated at least some of their business data into a data lake. And so
what's the
lake can
takeaway?
certainly contribute to that.
Is the takeaway that the fabric and mesh supplement the data lake, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the fabric and mesh can draw upon the capabilities of the data lake and lakehouse.
Both? I know the data. I said data fabric supplements data lake, data warehouse.
Yeah, I think that's fine. It's a symbiotic relationship.
The whole mesh is trying to kill those things.
Well, yeah, but I think a lot of organizations have, and we found this with our research with Bark last year, a lot of organizations will have multiple lakes, multiple data warehouses. Yeah. So you might have a business unit that's consolidated into one lake and another business unit that's done similar things with their division.
Yeah.
I know we're running up on time too.
Oh, we are. Geez, we only got 3 minutes left. Okay. Trying to get a bullet here. Okay.
So Dr. Phil Hendricks, I think a great point. Data products, oftentimes you're talking about co-ownership. They should be co-owned, prioritized, and have their value measured by their impact and contribution to key stakeholder goals. That's a good point. We talked about alignment with business objectives, with business strategy, but part of the granular metadata associated with the data product should probably be, how do you federate at their ownership, and how do you map it back to business objectives? Should I type that in there, Wayne?
I'm doing it.
Okay, excellent. I see.
So what? I'm sorry. What was I lost track of it.
Yeah,
stuff.
That's right. Data products should be co-owned, prioritized, and have their value measured according to their I'm synthesizing a little bit here, according to their contribution to business objectives.
Prioritize according to their contribution to the business. Yeah.
Yeah. Prioritize and yeah, and the other point being that they're co-owned.
Okay. Like I can type faster than you, Kevin.
Yeah, you've always been able to do that, which is good.
I've had 30 years of experience typing and talking. Yeah.
So I think we've got 1 minute left. Those are the takeaways I had.
Yeah, those are most of mine too. Casey had one more point, which was discover, build, and govern data products all in one environment, which I agree with. Although that's a little self-serving because that's what his product does, but I do think everybody needs that. That is a data fabric to me. So, yeah. Okay. How do you want to close out, Kevin?
Great discussion. I learned a lot and really appreciate everyone joining and contributing. Wayne, I think this has broken records for us in terms of registrants and also audience participation. So I'll close out by saying thank you, but also that there does seem to be this huge trend towards decentralization. And with luck, the industry is going to get more scientific about how to play that to its advantage.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I think we just hit the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to need to drill down on this a lot more. I think the industry is going to learn a ton the next 6-9 months. So maybe we come back then with a whole fresh new set of decks and people to discuss these issues. Thank you, everyone, for attending and sticking out to the bitter end here and contributing your thoughts and ideas. Very, very fun.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't be
Thank you,
shy.
Wayne.
Keep in touch. Bye. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay.